Now it's time for a question from the audience.
Hi, Chani. Thank you so much for everything you do and for creating these voice notes. It's so fun to send this. My question today, I was curious about migration and astrology. My parents came to the United States from the Caribbean many years ago, and my mom doesn't have an accurate birth certificate. So I'm curious if there's somewhere I can look in my chart that speaks to like their journey and just having like immigrant parents or immigrant lineage. Thanks so much.
Great question. And just to say, like, most of us have migrated somewhere. Most of us, unless you're indigenous to the place that you're living in, have had to flee or were part of settler colonialism or some kind of in between or a mix thereof. So most of us have, something in the chart that's going to tell us. And also if we're indigenous to the place that we are, we've also probably been moved around, and there's that story as well. So there's always a story of the family, the lineage in the chart. The first place I look is the fourth house. That is the place of home, family, foundation, lineage, parents, grandparents, ancestry, and our origins. You also want to look at the IC. In whole sign houses, traditional astrology, the IC doesn't always have to be in the fourth house. So those are the two things I look at. I want to look at any planets in the fourth house or around the IC. I want to look at the signs of the fourth house and or the IC and see what planets rule those places, and then read about those planets, study those planets. Planets in the fourth house and or by the IC are also going to tell us a really important tale of the family's journey, of the family's relationship to land, of the family's relationship to belonging, of your relationship to the family's relationship to belonging or not belonging, placement or displacement, location and dislocation, feeling safety, having to flee because it's not safe. All of these stories will be there. Then I also want to look at the moon, because the moon is our past, the body of the person that birthed us, the body of the person that birthed them, and on and on and on. It is our emotional memory. It is what gets passed down to us, emotional baggage, emotional memory, emotional lineage, good, bad, all of it connected, collected, together. And so those are some places that I would start. Also in traditional astrology, a lot of times the father is the fourth house and the mother is the 10th house. So you might want to look at the 10th house as well to look at her story or a story connected to the other parent there. And then, because we don't all have one mom, one dad. Like my daughter has two moms. And so there's like a way of looking at the chart where it's like her birth mom will be the one we'd look to maybe the 10th house for, and then me, her fourth house. Like we can look in different ways depending on the family's configuration. But definitely fourth house, definitely IC. You can look at the 10th house for the birthing parent and see if that is a connection. And then some astrologers, do it the opposite. They look at the mother as belonging to the fourth, or the birthing parent as belonging to the fourth, or the one who gives birth to us, whether or not we consider them a parent, as belonging to the fourth, some to the 10th. So we can kind of like play around with that and see what works. But definitely the IC, because that's like the deepest, darkest part of the chart. It's connected to our origin story. And then again, the moon. Start there, read about the planets that, again, rule those parts of the chart, read about the moon, and any planets in the fourth house or next to the IC will give you some indication of the tone, the tenor, the feeling, the story, the thing that you've been handed down in terms of emotional residue about the family journey. And then there's also reason to look at the 12th house in terms of inheritances, psychological and otherwise, and also the 8th house. Those are literal physical inheritances. And also there's, like connection to, again, like what we receive from people that pass on. But start with the fourth, start with the IC, start with the moon, and then see where that gets you. See what kind of information, like what are the planets? What do they represent? Uranus is disruption. Mars is a severing. Saturn is confronting a limitation, a boundary, a block, a being locked out. Pluto is a death, rebirth. There's different stories associated with each planet. So see which ones are lingering or which ones rule that part of the chart and see if that helps. All right, y'all. Thank you for your questions. Keep sending them in. You can record them on the Chani app. There's a little voice app note thing there where you can be like, hey, I want to know more about this. I want to know what you want to know so I can help you make the most of this glorious, gorgeous tool that only human to human can we learn. I do not believe that AI can teach us astrology. And if it can, it's only because it's stolen everything from human astrologers like me and like all your other favorite astrologers. It just rips us all off, takes it all, hoovers it all up, and then gets delirious about it and gets delusional about it and then gives you the wrong information. But astrology is an ancient art that is passed from person to person to person to person, not from robot to person. Anyways, I love you. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for downloading the Chani app and for telling people about it. Thank you for watching this little thing on YouTube, if that's where you are, or listening to it wherever you get your podcasts.